Dudes and dudettes, I'm going to tell you a story today, and it's a story of a very interesting pizza place. But before I get there, the reason why I'm making this video is because a lot of people have been asking me, and I've been seeing things on LinkedIn and social media in general about how do you calculate the ROI of influencer marketing. There seems to be this new kind of question that has come about, and then customers naturally ask me, like, hey, how do we prove ROI to ourselves, to our bosses who are validating whether or not this is the right investment, which is why I'm making this video. It is especially in the last 5 years, Facebook and Google and every one of these paid media channels, they have spoiled us marketers by giving us every single possible information point about our customers. Like, you probably know what they had for breakfast this morning, and we're able to target them on Facebook with the relevant ad. And that level of tracking, I guess, has spoiled people in a way, in terms of like wanting to track and attribute and everything, even if it's frankly wrong or mistaken or misleading even. So I'm not on attribution in that sense, but I understand why as a business it might be important for you to know how your investments are performing, and of course it's important to know which marketing channel is performing for you. So this video is not a necessary knock on attribution. It's a very interesting story followed by a nice moral which you can take away and apply in your brand and on how to think about influencer marketing ROI. So let's begin. All right, so we have Bianca's Kitchen here, right? This is a new pizza place in town. They've just opened up. They had launch day a couple of weeks back. They had a great launch. Now here's the problem. The problem is they're not getting enough sales. So Bianca, who's the owner and the entrepreneur behind this new restaurant, she's like, hey, we had a great launch, but we're no longer getting enough foot traffic to come inside the store. So let's just assume they're getting roughly about 100 people to buy pizzas from them, to walk into the store and buy pizzas from them every single week. And now they're like, well, we need more people to come in every single week. This is not enough. So what do? Well, Bianca's like, I can't sell because I have to work here and make sure that the pizzas are great. I need to hire some salespeople to go get some sales for me, which is a fair thing to do. So here's what Bianca does, right? Bianca, like a wise woman, she hires 3 salespeople. First one is called Frank. So she hires Frank. The second one is called Irene. She hires Irene. And then the third one is called Charles. So she has 3 salespeople: Frank, Irene, and Charles. All right, and she's like, hey, you're salespeople, you're gonna work for commissions, and go get me more customers. And then here she hands every one of them pamphlets, right? So Frank has his own pamphlet, Irene has her own pamphlet, and Charles, he has his own pamphlet. And then people can walk, and every pamphlet has a custom offer for people who want to walk in and buy a pizza. So that's that. She's like, hey, go do your thing. Here's our pizza. Here's why it's special. Go get new customers. So Frank, Irene, and Charles, they're off to the races. They do their own thing. Charles, what he does, he's smart. He goes and distributes these pamphlets next to office buildings. And he's like, alrighty, well, I'm gonna get like all these tired office people to go and buy pizza. So he's distributing there. He's being smart. Irene walks into a nearby park and she's handing the pamphlets over to parents who are with their kids who are playing. So he's like, alright, he does that. And then Frank does something very, very special, which I'll tell you towards the end of this story. So that happens, and they keep doing this for a week. Now, at the end of the week, Bianca is reviewing the numbers so she can see which salesperson did best. So this week, after the sales people are working, they got 130. So they got a 30% increase in foot traffic to the store. So now she's looking at the numbers. Pretty much all of them, 25 people came from Frank's pamphlet, and then only 3 came from Irene, and only 2 came from Charles. So you see how Irene and Charles, despite them trying to be smart and getting new customers, were completely failing at sales. Bianca was like, hey, listen, Irene and Charles, I love you. You did great, but this is not going to work. 3 more walk-ins and 2 more walk-ins, it's not enough. I'm sorry, go get another job. So Bianca, unfortunately, has to fire Irene and Charles. So now Irene and Charles are gone. Okay, this is now, fast forward 1 week, they're both sad, they go home. Fast forward 1 more week, and here's what happens. Irene and Charles are really, really heartbroken. So they're like, let's team up and let's look at what Frank's doing, because at least we learn what he's doing to get all these new customers for Bianca. So they decide to spy on him. So here's next week, right? So we were fast forwarding 1 week later. We're like, 1 week later, let's like show the passage of time. 1 week later, this is a calendar I'm drawing, by the way. So this is now 1 week later, okay? So this is Bianca's Kitchen. All right, so Irene and Charles are spying on Frank. And then they look at Frank, and all he's doing is he is standing on the lane which leads to the store. This is Bianca's Kitchen. Frank is standing here, and he's simply handing pamphlets to people who are walking in the direction of the store, completely knowing the fact that they are very likely going to walk inside and are going to buy. So, Irene and Charles are furious at this point. They're like, this is crazy. This dude, Frank, he's quite literally handing out pamphlets to people who are literally, he knows are going to walk into the kitchen and buy a pizza. And he's completely scamming Bianca. So they barge into the kitchen. They're like, Bianca, we need to speak to you. All we need is 5 minutes. And they show her what Frank's doing. Bianca's furious and she's like, what the hell is even happening? What is this? And then Bianca wants to make sense of the situation. Here's what actually happened. Irene and Charles, who went to the office buildings, who went to the park, actually generated the demand for the kitchen. And Frank simply stood outside the store, handed out his pamphlets to whoever was coming in, and they signed up using his pamphlets because that was the latest pamphlet that they had inside with them, right? So here's the situation. Are you getting what's happening here? Are you understanding? Irene and Charles are not Irene and Charles. Bianca's kitchen is not Bianca's kitchen. That's you and your brand. Irene and Charles are influencers and content and channels like that, and F is Facebook ads. Frank is Facebook ads. Basically, what happens is every time you work with influencers, the influencers and the content that you build through the influencers will generate the demand. The demand then goes through, and then the last touch is always going to be an ad or some sort of organic click, but it was actually the demand and the discovery of your brand was driven by influencer. Do you understand what the story was about? So, moral of the story, attribution is not causation. It does not mean more sales or incremental sales. You need to have demand channels that are creating new demand, driving discovery and creating FOMO in your prospective customers, even if those channels are not the most trackable. Because what happens is not everyone whom Irene and Charles spoke with in the office building and in the park is going to go to the pizza shop immediately and get a pizza. They might wait until the weekend to go there. They might wait until next month to go there. They might wait until they're hungry to go there. There are so many other decision-making factors than just a traditional old funnel of people discovering you and immediately going and buying. So now is like all hope lost, or you just need to shoot a bunch of influencers in the ether and hope something works? Not really. There's a bunch of ways to measure the effectiveness, and we'll cover that in a video later on. The point of making this video for me was I needed to give you some context and reframe your ideas around how you should think of influencer marketing ROI, and why having a good mix of channels, not just influencer, not just Facebook ads, but having some version of both ongoing. Even if the influencer channel is not as trackable, even if your content marketing is not as trackable, you need to know that those are channels that are fundamentally proven to drive demand for your brand, and that you should not disqualify a channel purely because it's not trackable or not the most attributable. Because frankly, even Facebook ads and Google ads have invasive levels of tracking, which is now reducing. It's all going back to the old school world of having to test things out and see incremental sales and see what works. So I hope this video was able to deliver that, or unless you want to end up with like Bianca, our pizza shop owner, with a flat line in sales, you should consider these new ideas of demand gen and discovery channels along with conversion channels. I hope this makes sense, and I'll see you in the next one.